All right, I think we're starting up right now. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys all had a good Thursday. Here to talk about obviously the four-game NBA slate. We'll keep the same schedule. We only got 30 minutes, but we'll go over what we know so far. We can look at some Vegas numbers, talk about players, their prices. I can give you guys a game-by-game breakdown, kind of like a cash game core. If you're playing cash games tonight, I'm not. Well, I haven't really been playing cash games all year, but that's another story. And then we can answer any questions you guys have at the end. So let's do this. Dragon Bender, another 10-day contract. He'll be available. He's only viable as a punt play if Draymond Green does not play today. Let's see. A lot of this stuff is for Friday's slate, so bear with me. I got to scroll through this. There's honestly not a whole lot of news. Mostly all of this is Friday stuff. Devontae Graham is still questionable. Cody Zeller will remain in starting lineup. Cody Zeller's a guy I like as a value play. We know Denver runs big. I think what Charlotte's going to do is they're going to play Cody Zeller 24, 26 minutes, give the rest to Hernan Gomez, and Biyombo get another DNP. That's what we've seen most of the time when either Zeller or Biyombo gets a start, the other one gets the DNP, and then Hernan Gomez gets the backup center run. Let's see. Deion Waiter signed with the Lakers. I actually don't think that's the worst signing. Oh, here we go. Devontae Graham will play. Okay, kind of wanted that news. So I did not want to mess with that really cheap, gross, Jalen McDaniels, the Martin Bros value. I'm kind of glad he's playing, so I just don't even have to deal with that. All right, let's take a look at some Vegas numbers here. We have Nuggets, Hornets, a 208 over-under. Nuggets are 10-point favorites. We have the Clippers and the Rockets, a 237 over-under. Clippers are 1.5-point favorites. This one should be a fun one to watch, obviously. Should have the best DFS appeal as well. That one in the Toronto Golden State game. 76ers, Kings, 219 over-under. The Kings are 5.5-point favorites. And the Raptors and the Warriors, a 226 over-under. Toronto favored by 9. All right, let's talk about Denver first. So this game is it's really ugly. I kind of talked about in my video, both teams play really slow. Denver's obviously really good defensively. Charlotte, not as good. They're bad defensively, but they played a really, really slow pace that it's a very, very unappealing game. Jokic 9.5K, I like the spot here for him. It's a good matchup against Cody Zeller or Hernan Gomez. Denver's finally fully healthy, right? I rode Jokic a lot there when they were really thin. It was basically only him and Barton in the offense, and everyone else is out. Now they're fully healthy, right? They have Jamal Murray. Gary Harris is back, even though he's not a high-usage guy. Paul Millsap's available. So, that is under 7K, but I don't know if I can prioritize him on the slate. He can definitely still have upside. The downside with him is he is kind of scoring dependent as a guard. So a little bit, more boom or bust. But he does have, pretty high upside if he's knocked down those threes. So you can consider him for tournaments. Again, not going to be the way that I go on this one. Millsap, another guy that's been very, very up and down, 4.6K. I don't think he's going to be that high owned, but he's a guy that can get you, 25, 30 in about 25 minutes. I have some interest. I'm not going to get to Jeremy Grant with Millsap playing. Gary Harris is just too expensive for me, 4.4K for a guy that literally does nothing when he's out on the floor. I'm not going to get to Monte Morris at that price. Michael Porter Jr., for some reason, they just will not give this guy minutes, so you can't go there. Mason Plumlee is a guy that I have slight interest in. Never a guy that's going to play huge minutes, but about 15 or so, maybe a little bit more if the game does blow out. I think there's a decent chance it could blow out because Charlotte is obviously terrible. But he's a good point per minute guy. So, right now what I'm hearing is, we're going to have PJ Tucker chalk. We're going to have Pat Beverly chalk. There's a lot of, on a small slate, you kind of get forced into bad plays just because you have to, right? There's not a whole lot of great value. So you could look to Mason Plumlee as a contrarian cheap play. I don't think he's be high owned because 4.1K does kind of feel like a lot, but he can get you there in that time. And again, if the game blows out, he could get a little extra run. So he's a contrarian, low owned value play I have some interest in. But yeah, all in all, really, Denver's a team I'm not super excited about. I know it's, Charlotte's not good defensively, but this game in general is just kind of a stay away from me, and especially with Devontae Graham coming back too. So let's talk about Charlotte now. Devontae Graham playing, he's at 5.8K. That definitely takes those value guys, the Martin Bros and McDaniels, completely out of play for me. Devontae Graham himself at 5.8 does feel like a cheap price tag, but I just don't know if I'm going to get there on this one. I think there's better plays, a couple $1,000s more, right, with like Paul George, both guys in Philly I like a lot, Tobias and Al Horford. So, I'm kind of trying to get, a couple of those guys and then run it back with one of those Houston guards, whether it be Westbrook or Harden. I think that's what everyone's going to do, try to get at least one of those Houston guards, but they're just too cheap and a 237.5 over under. So it just makes it tricky for me to get to these Charlotte guards kind of in the mid-tier here. So I'm not going to get to Rozier. I'm not going to get to Graham. No thank you on Bridges or Washington. It's a pretty unappealing game. This game could blow out, right? They could see limited minutes. The only guys I have interest in are the two bigs. That's Cody Zeller and Hernangomez. Now, Bismack Biyombo not starting. I think he gets in DNP again, just off what we've seen recently, right? Whoever starts between Zeller and Biyombo, it's kind of like a moving share. Whoever starts gets like decent minutes, 20 to 25, while the guy who doesn't start gets a DNP, and then Hernangomez will continue to get the bench minutes. I assume we're going to get that again. We know Denver runs big. Zeller and Hernangomez then combined for less than 48. Zeller played 19 and Hernangomez played 18. Yeah, so they combined for less than 48 because they were playing. Who were they playing last game? San Antonio, who was running more small ball, so they could have, right? Denver's a team that can't really run small ball, right? I don't think they're going to run PJ Washington at the 5 here. So I think Zeller, Hernangomez split the Sun of minutes. I would assume Zeller gets more. My best guess would be about 26 or so. And with that being the case, I think he's a pretty solid play at this price. You're never going to get super excited about playing Cody Zeller, but if we can project him for like 26, maybe a little bit more minutes, I think he is a pretty solid cheap play. Hernangomez, the GPP play off the bench, a little bit more risky because obviously he is coming off the bench when the game blows out. He could get extended a little bit. He's a good point per minute guy. So another one of those guys, kind of like Mason Plumlee, contrarian low on option. I don't think he's going to be that high owned on the slate, but I do have some interest there. So really, Charlotte, my main interest here is the two bigs, Zeller, Hernangomez. Again, I think Biyombo gets a DNP. I'm not going to the Zeller bros or McDaniels with Devontae Graham back. Let's talk about the Clippers now. So this is a team I do have interest in, but it's tough because they're so balanced. That's why I'm just not super excited about the slate in general. I'm taking it a little bit easy on this one. But yeah, back to the Clippers. So Kawhi at 9.3K. This is, he's been getting about low 30s minutes. I think that those could tick up a little bit here in a game that should stay close. 35 or so maybe for Kawhi. Again, really good spot. So I do like Kawhi a good amount. I also like Paul George a good amount at 7.4. They've kind of been easing him into it, 30-27 the last game. But the game where he played 27 the last game, he did get subbed out like 3.5 minutes left due to a blowout. So he's on pace for about 30. So I think we get about 30 minutes from Paul George, maybe a little bit more, right? If I assume this one's going to stay close, so maybe he gets extended to like 32, 33. If that's the case, I do like Paul George a good amount. I would probably, I'll give you guys my core, but the way I'm going about the slate is I would try to get one of those Houston guards, whether it be Westbrook or Harden in your lineup, and one of the Clippers forwards, whether it be Kawhi or Paul George in your lineup. So yeah, if you have the money to get to Kawhi, obviously he's a little bit safer. He'll play a little bit more minutes, but I do like Paul George a good amount too at that price. The other options is a little bit more tricky. Montrez at 6.5, the minutes are up and down. They do run small, so this could be a game where Montrez gets extended a little bit, but they also could run JaMychal Green at the 5, right? There's no guarantee Montrez is going to play big minutes. If I knew he was going to play like close to 30 minutes, I would really like him, but it's just a risk, right? I have no idea what his minutes are going to be. They could run him for 20, they could run him for close to 30. Obviously, if it's at higher end, he could definitely get you there, but that's why it makes it a little bit more risky. Lou Williams at 5.9. Again, just the minutes are down on these guys because they're running a deep rotation. He probably gets about 25 or so minutes. He is a guy that does have upside. A revenge spot for both him and Montrez. Thought I would bring that up. Again, a good matchup. So I do have some interest in Lou, but again, more of just a secondary play for me. I'm not going to get to Marcus Morris at 5.5. He's been playing consistent minutes, but I just think there's better ways to go on this slate. I'm not going to get to Reggie either at 4.3. Zubac, I'm really worried about his minutes. We know Houston runs small. Does LA stick it out and just play Zubac 20 minutes, or do they just say screw it, let's match the small ball and go like JaMychal Green at the 5 or Montrez at the 5? So I'm worried about Zubac's minutes. If I knew he was going to play 20 minutes, I would really like him. But another case where this could be the game where he gets less minutes. Pat Beverly is a guy I've heard his name a good amount at 3.6K. I think he's going to be pretty popular. Now, he's been terrible. But this is a spot they probably need him defensively. The minutes aren't huge because they're giving Reggie Jackson a good amount of run. I think he's an okay value play. I think he's someone I am considering. You're really not going to feel good about any of these value plays in the slate, to be honest. But, obviously he has the beef with Westbrook. Maybe he wants to come out and put on a better performance than he has recently. He's been terrible. So I do have some interest in Pat Beverly at that price. JaMychal Green, I just thought I'd bring it up. He's a guy that could, if they wanted to run more small ball. The two guards I have a good amount of interest in. Again, I think you get one of those Houston guards and one of those Clippers forwards in your lineup. Harden, I think I would give the edge to Harden at 10.7. I know Westbrook's been better recently, but Harden's just the guy that has more upside historically, right? We know James Harden can put up 70 plus, 80 plus. Westbrook, not as much. He can get there, but Harden's a guy that can get there more frequently. So I'm going to prefer Harden to Westbrook. No issue if you want to save money with Westbrook, though. I think you do get one of those Houston guards in your lineup. Covington at 6.7, I do have some interest even at an elevated price, but I'm just going to prefer Paul George at a similar price to him. I know Covington's been really good, right? 46 and 49 recently, but again, I'm going to give the edge slightly there to Paul George. But I still have interest in Covington if you want to play both. Then we get to the value plays here. Again, these three guys here with House, Gordon, and Tucker, you can throw in that pool of value that you can take shots on. There's really not like any value plays I feel amazing about. So yeah, House, Gordon, Tucker. House probably gets 25, 30 minutes. Gordon a little bit less, right? Probably about 25 or so. And then PJ Tucker is going to get big minutes, but we know it's PJ Tucker. He can get you 10 fancy points, or he can get you 30 plus, but he's knocking out those threes. So I think those three guys are all viable. No one I really feel amazing about, but yeah, they're in play for sure to open up to get you those stars in your lineup. We got about 17 minutes to lock, so I'll try and hurry this up a little bit. Philly, no Embiid, no Simmons, no Josh Richardson. I do like Tobias and Horford a good amount. It's a better spot here. They've had back-to-back really tough matchups there against the Clippers and the Lakers, but they're going to play huge minutes. So I do like Tobias a good amount. I do like Horford a good amount. It's just, they're going to get about 35 or so, and I think they're a little bit underpriced. And again, no Ben Simmons, no Joel Embiid. So I do like both those guys. Personally, I'm probably going to get one of those guys in my lineup. The way roster construction goes for me right now is, on these small sites, I go a little bit more risky. So I'm going with one of the Houston guards. I'm going with one of the Clippers forwards. I'm going with one of the Philly guys, the main guys, and I'm going Steph Curry and taking a huge risk and hoping he can have a good shooting day. But I'll talk about that a little bit more later. I do like, again, Harris, Horford. Both these guys look pretty solid. Shake Milton, I'm not going to get to at 6.5. It's just, again, he shot really, really well that game where he had 54 fantasy points, 14 of 20. I just think he's a little bit overpriced. Kind of the same thing with Alec Burks at 5K. I just, for a guy that's going to play 20, 25 minutes, I don't want to go there. Korkmaz is viable. He can get hot behind the three-point line, right? His downside is he is scoring dependent, so he's in play for GPPs. When he's knocking down those threes, we have seen big upside games, right? 40, even 50 from him. So he's someone you can shoot for the stars with. Glenn Robinson at 4K had a big game last game out, but I don't know if I'm going to chase that. I think I would personally prefer Mike Scott. I think he's a little bit safer. 26 and 36 minutes in back-to-back games. If he starts again, I would have interest. Now, if he doesn't start, that's what I would be worried and probably look elsewhere. But at 3.8K, he's got another guy that I think is going to be pretty popular, but I do have some interest in Mike Scott as a value play. I'm not going to get to Thibault or Neto, and that really does it for the Clippers. Let's talk about the Kings. Kings are a team that's very, very balanced. They're such a hard team to break down. Fox is going to play, 30, 32 minutes. He seems priced about right, though. Everyone else here is going to play somewhere between, 20 to 30 minutes with Bielitsa, Buddy Hield, Bogdanovic, Giles, Barnes, Bazemore, Alex Len. They're just more filler guys. No one really stands out. Buddy Hield is a guy that I think has the most upside of these guys, but he's just not getting the minutes right now. So at 6K, it's kind of tough to get to him. Bogdan maybe plays a little bit more minutes, but the minutes are volatile. I think he's okay in the mid-range. Giles and Len will split the center minutes. Giles played 27. Len kind of got limited, they believe, to 14. They're just okay options. More just filler here. Nothing really stands out to me. Len's at 4.5. He could play 25 minutes. He could play 15 like he did the last game. So he's in play as a GPP play, but at 4.5K, you're not getting him at a discount anymore. And that really does it. Sacramento's a team I'm not super interested in. Let's talk about Toronto. Toronto's a team that we don't have the news yet. We're probably not going to get it. So that's why it makes this slate tricky because, three guys being questionable does change. Oh, Montrezl Harrell won't have a minutes limit. Was he even on a minutes limit? I didn't even know that. All right. Um, let's see. Murray, Harris, Barton, Millsap, Jokic, Graham, Rozier. Okay, that's what we expected. I'm really confused about this. What, like, didn't know he was on one? Yeah, I didn't know he was on one either. So that kind of confuses me. So maybe that's a slight boost on Montrez. Maybe it's extended a little bit, just going off that news. Who knows? But yeah, back to Toronto. So this is the big question mark, right? Fred VanVleet, Ibaka, and Gasol all questionable. If both Ibaka and Gasol miss, I would have some interest in Boucher. But again, the issue with him is the minutes are so up and down, you just have no idea. So if you're willing to take the risk on Boucher and hope both those guys are out, I don't hate that idea. Fred VanVleet being questionable is strictly dependent on Norman Powell, right? If Fred VanVleet plays, I have no interest in Powell. Even if Fred VanVleet doesn't play, Powell's getting to a point where he's not like as good of his value play anymore. I just think he's okay. Lowry and Siakam are interesting to me. I don't think they're going to be that high owned. I think the flocks are going to go to that Clippers-Houston game. So I have some interest there as contrarian spend-ups, both Siakam and Lowry. It's a good matchup, but again, this is kind of dependent on news, right? If all these guys play, then Siakam and Lowry aren't as good of plays. It's kind of one where it just sucks, and it's a late game too. So it's all about how you build your lineups, right? Make sure you get these guys in your late games and your utility spots, like the 3 spots down here, so you can switch some things up if dependent on news. Again, if Fred VanVleet misses, I would have some interest in Powell, but not as much. Would make Lowry more viable, and then Ibaka and Gasol. If one of them plays, I would like the other. If they're not going to be limited, right? If Gasol misses and Ibaka plays, I would really like Ibaka. If Ibaka misses and Gasol plays and he's not going to be limited, I would have some interest there. If both miss, you could look to Boucher. But again, his minutes are so up and down, 16, 9, and 29. He does have the upside, though, when he gets the time. OG Anunoby at 6.4. I don't think I get to him. I think that really does it. Again, Siakam would obviously get a boost, too. If both those guys are out, he could run some small ball thigh. He's playing huge minutes right now. So let's talk about Golden State, and then we'll get to my core for cash, and then we can get to questions. So Steph Curry, again, I kind of told you guys where I'm going. I am taking the shot here. I know he's going to play 24 to 28 minutes, but he's going to be low-owned. At 8K, on a good day, he can put up 40+, 50+. So this is a shot. Again, on smaller slates, I get a little bit more risky. I'm taking the shot on Steph, on hoping he just has a huge game playing alongside a bunch of scrubs. He should have huge usage. So, yeah, that's the way I'm going. I would not do that for cash games, not for safety, but I'm taking the risk there of playing Steph Curry. Wiggins is 7.8. I'm not going to get to. It just with Steph Curry being back lineup hurts him a bit. Draymond Green is questionable. If he misses, it would make Bender and Toscano Anderson a little bit more viable as punt options. But other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of interest. Chasan Randall will be in the rotation too, but he's not going to play big minutes. I don't think I get to any of these guys in the mid-range with Steph coming back. Like Mulder, Poole, Lee, no thank you. Pascal, even if Draymond Green misses, 5.8 just feels like a little bit too much for him. Again, the only guys I would consider here if Green misses would be those cheap bigs, Toscano, Anderson, and Bender as value punt plays. So I think that really wraps it up for the 4-game slate. Again, take it easy on this one, guys. I am... it's a risky slate, but all right, let's give you guys my cash game core for today. So we'll start with the value play, Cody Zeller. It's not super appealing, but I think he will get more minutes in this one against a big Denver team. So we'll put him in the center position. Again, I think you try to get one of those Houston guards, one of those Clippers forwards in your lineup. So I'm going to go Harden over Westbrook. If you want to save the money with Westbrook, that's fine. And then as far as the Clipper wings, again, Kawhi or Paul George, I would probably try to get one of those guys in your lineup. I'm going to take the savings on Paul George. And let's see. Lastly, what do we want to do? We'll give you the value Mike Scott. Again, this is kind of dependent on if he starts. If he doesn't start, they change up the lineup. I wouldn't have as much interest, but I think that's a solid way to start for a cash game build. So hopefully that helps you guys if you are playing cash games. Let's see if we got any more news, and then we can get to questions here. We do have about 10 minutes until lock. Yeah, all right. Let's get to some questions. Oh, also, if you guys enjoy the content, like button, notification bell, that does really help me out. So just take 2 seconds every day to do that. Would really appreciate it. Gordon or Bev, that's a tough one. I think Pat Beverly's going to be a lot higher owned. So if you want to take a pivot off ownership, I'm fine going to Eric Gordon. Let's see. MPJ going to go for 25 plus in 15 minutes. If the game blows out, you could see it, maybe, but Mike Malone he does not like Michael Porter Jr. at all. I like the Sacramento-Philly game more than Denver-Charlotte. Same with me. Denver-Charlotte's a game I have very little interest. The only guy I'm playing is Cody Zeller. Minutes for Buddy are kind of concerning. They are. Minutes for everyone kind of in Sacramento. No one's playing big minutes, so they're a tough team. DK for GPPs. Jokic and Corey Joseph or Devontae Graham and Covington. Well, how many minutes has Corey Joseph been playing? He's been getting some decent run. I know that. He's at 3.3. He's probable. Did play 27, but I think normally he gets like 15 minutes, so I don't really feel good about that. What was the other option? Devontae Graham and Covington. I guess give me Graham and Covington there, but Gordon, good GPP play. I'm rolling with Curry, Harris, Paul George, Tobias Harris, Zeller, Westbrook, Scott, and Zubac. Yeah, pretty similar to mine. Kings are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Tier 6 is Buddy, Barton, Barnes, or Bogdan. Yeah, that's a tough one, really. It really is. They have all the Kings there. I would probably either go... Oh, all the Kings and Barton. I would probably either go Buddy or Bogdan there. Philly could get worked. They could, but that's why I like the Philly, right? They play the Lakers and the Clippers, two tough spots. This is a much better spot for both Tobias and Al Horford. I do like trying to get one of those guys in your lineup. Wiggins or Steph Curry. I'll still go Steph even on the minutes limit there. Smash a like button for DK. Appreciate that, man. Wiggins, yeah, I guess Wiggins more for safety because he's going to play more minutes, but I'm taking the risk. I told you guys I'm taking the risk on Steph. Zeller, Millsap, that's a tough one. I think both are pretty similar plays. If you're shooting for upside, it's probably Millsap. If you're shooting for safety, it's probably Zeller, I guess. Horford or Tobias Harris. I'll go Tobias. I like his upside a little bit more. Horford, more of a safe play. I don't think Horford has like 50 fan scoring upside, where Tobias, if he's shooting well, can put up 50 plus, right? Murray's been hogging all the USG from Barton usage. He has. Again, Denver is just, they're all healthy now. So that is a concern there. Best value and best shooting guard. Best value, I mean, that's a tough one. I guess Mike Scott or Cody Zeller. Again, they're in my core. If Mike Scott starts. What was your other question? You said, and GPP shooting guard. GPP shooting guard, that's a tough one. I mean, if price doesn't matter, probably GPP shooting guard, probably Lou Williams or Furkan Korkmaz, just because those guys have big upside if they're knocking out threes for GPPs. Harris over Horford, same with me. Harrell will shake DK. I'll probably go Montrez there over Shake Milton. Yeah, Barton wasn't that good last time in the Hornets matchup either. Good point. I got 3,700 left over. McDaniels or Beverly for GPP. Yeah, I don't think I get to McDaniels with Devontae Graham playing. Just another body in the rotation. Give me Beverly, but Beverly is going to be a pretty popular value play. 4,500 yet left for utility. Who do you like? I will tell you right now. Probably Cody Zeller for me. Let's see. I mean, you could take a shot. It's all about your risk tolerance, right? Len's minutes are very up and down, but he does have upside. Furkan Korkmaz is very scoring dependent, but does have upside. So those are two risky plays that I would have some interest in if you want to get risky. Boucher's a guy I like a good amount at 4.3K, but that's strictly dependent on news, right? Ibaka and Gasol, both those guys are out. We've seen big upside games from Boucher. So the way I have my lineup constructed right now, I have Boucher in, and I have a couple other guys in those late games. I guess in the very late game, I have Steph and Boucher. And, if Ibaka gets rolled in, if Marc Gasol gets rolled in, then maybe I could pivot my lineup, pivot off Steph, pivot off Boucher, and kind of rearrange. So I'm leaving myself some room to rearrange. But, if both those guys are out, both those bigs are out for Toronto, you could see a big upside game from Boucher again. Let's see. Tucker, Hernan Gomez. I think Tucker is going to be the cash game play. He's going to be a lot more popular. But I don't mind taking a shot on Hernan Gomez, who probably gets close to 20 minutes. Could be extended a little bit more too if the game blows out. I'm gonna go with the low-owned Devontae and pray he doesn't put up one of those 0-point games. Yeah, Devontae's been not great. Any Lou will, some interest. More of just a contrarian play though for me. I think I'm going to put Devontae Graham in. Yeah, I mean, under 6K price is appealing, but tough matchup. Is Zeller going to bust? I hope not, because I'm playing him. Thoughts on Covington? I have some interest in Covington in the mid-range. I'm going to prefer Paul George at a similar price to him. I like Paul George's upside a little bit more, even though Covington has put up back-to-back 40 fantasy point games. I think you can play both. You could run a nice mid-tier lineup, right? If you wanted to go contrarian and fade, one of the Houston guards, that is going to be pretty contrarian. You could make something like, I don't know, throw, Paul George in there. We'll throw Covington. Where's Covington? If I can find him. Covington, you could throw in, Tobias or Al Horford. You could make like a pretty solid mid-tier lineup. That's going to be pretty contrarian, in my opinion. Let's see. Same lineup as this morning. DK, Stan, Target. I was going to change Pat Beverly to McDaniels, but now Graham is in. Yeah, I think I'll stick with Pat Bev there, DK. Fellow DK. What do you think of Covington? Yep, again, I do have to mention Covington. I would prefer Paul George if you're going to make me pick, though. Sorry, just now joining. Did you say your cash locks? Yeah, so it's, I deleted it, but it's Zeller, Mike Scott, assuming Mike Scott starts as a value play. There's not really any great value plays, but that's where I'm going. And then Harden and Paul George for cash games. What do you? Okay, let's see. Sorry. Okay, I just made a different core. If you made a different core, what would it be? Well, would that be like a GPP core? Are you asking? Right, because if I'm getting risky here, then if I'm shooting for upside, I could go right like Steph, Boucher. Again, that's assuming both those guys are out and he gets good run. There are some riskier plays I wouldn't mind taking shots on. Who else? Let's see. Right, like Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, getting to one of those guys. I think like both those guys are going to be pretty low owned. So right, like something like that. If you want to get like risky, all about your risk tolerance, right? Those guys all more GPP plays though. Let's see. Should we play Tobias Harris? I am playing him. I don't think Tobias is going to be that high owned. So I do like that. I think he's going to be, again, low owned, and I like the matchup. Graham, great GPP play. I do have a little bit of interest just because of the price at 5.8, but not a whole lot. See if we got any more news. We're not going to get that Toronto news till way later. That's why it makes this slate tricky. Again, make sure you get those guys in the late games in the bottom of your lineup so you can make some changes if some injury news happens, right? Bev, Harden, George, Zeller, Len, Kirk. Let's see. But yeah, say you had like, I don't know, you can make pivots, right? Make sure you have a game plan if Ibaka gets rolled, right? Say you want to play Ibaka and he gets rolled out, and you have make sure you have a 2v2 swap, right? Say you have like Ibaka and Steph Curry, and Ibaka gets rolled out, and you need to go to Boucher or something, right? So Ibaka gets rolled out, Gasol's already out. Say you need to go to Boucher, and you have money left over. You could like then take out Steph and throw in like Pascal Siakam, right? So make sure you have a plan there if things go wrong or things don't go the way you expect. All right, so let's see. We're at lock now. Or wait, hold on. Are we at lock? My computer is 2 minutes fast. Yeah, we're not at lock yet. I do need to change that. I keep forgetting. Yeah, we got about a minute to lock. Got Murray, Harden, Paul George, Covington, Harrell, Gordon, Zeller, and Scott. Perfectly fine with that, right? You're going a little bit more mid-tier, but you do have Harden as a spend up. Paul George or Horford and DK. That's a close one for me. I'm going to go Paul George, but I do like both. Yeah, any last minute questions, guys? Hit me up. Also, if you guys DM me on Twitter, I'm sorry if I don't respond right away. Usually after I live stream, I go like work out or do something else. I'm not like I'm keeping track of news, but I'm not really looking at my DM. So I'm sorry if I don't respond right away. Probably if you want a response right, faster, it's probably easier to just tweet at me. So it'll be easier for me to see it. All right, let's see. No more questions here. I think we're at lock. I'm playing two lines. One super low owned. Lou, Buddy, Tobias, Horford, Harrell, Barton, Heald, and Zeller. Yeah, I mean that's a risky lineup, but all of it has upside, right? Lou's going to be low owned. Buddy's going to be low owned. I don't think Tobias or Horford will be low or high owned. Basically, everyone there is going to be low owned, I think. I'm fading Millsap. I am too. I mean, Millsap's fine, though. Does have upside at that price. Graham, Harden, PG, 13, House, Zeller, Lou, Scott, and Tobias. fine with me. For the late slate news, hope this works. What's your thoughts on the cash game landscape of NBA? Seems like it boils down to 2v2 because everyone has similar lines. Takes edge away, it seems. Yes, that is a really, really good question, Justin. And that's the reason why I don't play cash games anymore. Is because, back in the day, back in I don't know, even up to 2016, 2017. But I started playing 2012. Cash games, the ownership was very spread out, so it was a lot easier to get an edge. Nowadays, everyone has the same lineup, and it's literally one guy determines whether or not you cash. So there's very little edge anymore with all the optimizers, stuff like that. So that's the reason I don't play cash games anymore, is because of that. Literally, it comes down to cashing a 1v1 or a 2v2. So I don't think there's merit playing cash games long term. I think you're gonna end up losing money unless you win really consistently, right? Unless you win 70% of the time. But it's tough. It's a lot tougher now than it was back in the day. Curry, Harden, PG, JaMychal Green, Hernan Gomez, Bogdan, Zeller, and Horford. Yeah, that's fine. Steph hit 8 threes tonight. I hope so. I'm playing them. I put a lineup all around the players so that I can work around it. Same DK. F cash games always decided by one player and are fading or playing the chalk. It's dumb. I agree. I said that is, maybe I'll make a video about it soon, just kind of giving my thoughts, but I don't think it's worth it to play anymore. Personally, I put a lineup of all league players in the early means so that I can move it around so you can see who plays and who don't. Okay, let's take a look at some ownership here. And the only guy I have is Zeller. Let's see what his ownership is. He's coming in at 27% in the $40 single entry. I can see what everyone else got. Jamal Murray is 16%. Millsap at 42%. So looks like people are a little bit more confident in Millsap over Zeller. That was a close one for me. I want Zeller, but I get why Millsap is a little bit higher owned, right? He probably has a little bit more upside. Viable for cash, DK, Pat Beverly, Harden, Paul George, Scott, Harold, Graham, Covington, Bogdan. Yep, I think so. Westy, Sweet Lou, PG-13, House, Millsap, Pat Bev, Scott, Harden. Stay with my gut. Always stay with your gut too, guys. That's another thing, right? If you're really confident in a guy, don't let me take you off him, or don't if I don't like a guy and you really like him, don't let me persuade you off him, because I would always listen to streams back in the day, and I'd be really high on a guy at the start of the day, and then I would hear someone, oh, they don't like this guy, it would make me get off him, and then, if that guy you get off ends up going off, you're just going to feel terrible. So you're like, oh, I was on him at the beginning of the day, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, Bender, Toscano, they're pretty similar for me. Only would consider those guys if Draymond misses. Give me Bender, but that's almost a coin flip. Millsap, 46%. Yep, 46% for Millsap. A little bit higher than I thought, but let's see. That's not even mentioning how many players are playing for the same cash game lineups and single entries. Yeah, in the single entry tournaments, another thing that is a little bit annoying. You see the same lineup a lot. You will see, I don't know, 20, 30 people have the same lineup in the. It's every day, right? It's always the same people too that I always see. 42. Sorry. Thanks for your response, and I agree. What's your favorite program or site for seeing ownership numbers? So I don't use any ownership numbers. I just kind of go off. I will listen to other content just to kind of get a grasp on what I think ownership's going to be, and also just kind of my gut plays, right? Or just, if I think a play is a really good play, then he's going to be high owned, right? So I just I don't use anything. I guess it's more just use my knowledge and kind of listen to other content to get a gauge for what ownership's going to be. Jackson or Beverly, DK? Beverly I think is going to be a pretty popular value play. I think he's okay. If you want to pivot low owned, Reggie Jackson is going to be a lot lower owned. So you could always look to Reggie Jackson if you want to get risky. I think the safer play, I guess it's not really safe, but is probably Pat Beverly because he's going to be higher owned. Let me look at some other ownership here. So with the $1 DK entry with 49,000 or 59,000 people every day, that'd be a cash game, right? Are we talking about a GPP though? Is that the big $1 tournament? I would prefer entering the really small tournaments, like the $1 tournaments or the 25-cent tournaments a lot, than cash games, because just in the really low dollar GPPs, the good plays aren't as high owned at all, right? And the $1 GPPs or in the 50-cent GPPs. So I think I would prefer doing that than playing cash games. Thoughts on Graham, Buddy, PG, Tobias, Zeller, Pat Bev, Horford, and Curry? No issues there. Curry, Kawhi, or Westbrook, George, all about your level of risk. Right, Curry is a guy that is super, super risky. Westbrook, George is obviously the safer play. So Westbrook, George for safety. Kawhi, Curry if you're willing to take a shot. Do you play MLB DK? I don't. Too much variance for me. Maybe if I have time, I'll get into a little bit more this season, but I just don't like the variance for it. DK, do you ever stay away from players for fear that they might get in a fight and be ejected? Beverly Westbrook? No, but it is in the back of my mind. Something like that, something like Embiid and Drummond, right? Something where two players really hate each other. Like, oh, there's a decent, like Rondo, Chris Paul, right? Yeah, I cleared $50 this morning on spring training, Matt. Hey, spring training, I love it. It's getting me excited for the summer league NBA. I am stoked for that. That is one of the, I think it's like 2 weeks, but the best 2 weeks, honestly, of just seeing a bunch of young guys play and play some DFS. Let's see, Jabari Parker, he's basically out of the rotation, I believe. Unless I'm wrong here, I don't think he's in the rotation. He's the flat min. Yeah, he's out of the rotation. Let's see. Good shit, DK. I hope you won it all tonight. Thank you, man. Let's see. Boucher, minutes of Ibaka plays, chance of blowout, he can get garbage time. Yeah, I mean, that's a decent chance too, right? If Ibaka plays, Gasol's out, and Toronto blows out Golden State, Boucher is a guy that can get, I would say 15 to 20 at most if Ibaka plays. Now, if Ibaka misses and Gasol misses, Boucher has upside for 25 or so, 25 plus. Summer League. Oh, yeah, man. Thoughts on Korkmaz's dart throw? Yes, Korkmaz is in play for GPPs, right? He does have upside. He's very scoring dependent, so a little bit more boomer bust. But we've seen 40, 50 fantasy point games from Korkmaz. So I think he's in play for sure as a GPP play. Summer League was money. Yeah, it was definitely stressful. So much information, Summer League. But I'm excited to do it again. You play DK. You play DK MMA. Thanks for the content as well. I don't play MMA. No. Yo DK, what's your MVP train too? Right. So if you're trying, it's a smaller slate, so there's probably going to be a lot of duplicate lineups tonight. If you're willing to leave 500, even 1,000 on the table, you're going to get very, very contrarian, and I would say probably no one is going to have the same lineup as you. Let me go back to some ownership here. I don't think I've seen anything else really that stands out, or any other players at least. I mean, I see a lot of just Millsap and Cody Zeller. I don't even think I've seen Jokic yet. You guys know Jokic ownership? I haven't seen that. Which does, intrigue me. If Jokic is going to be that low owned. Devontae Graham, yeah, 28%. Yeah, I don't see Jokic, which, I mean, if Jokic was like 2% owned, obviously that's appealing. I can't find him. So I think he's going to be pretty low. And Giannis, are you going to do NBA playoff videos? Yep, I will be. I will have content for the playoffs. Let's see. If you didn't say Giannis, I was going to unsubscribe. Whew. Well, glad I said Giannis. Let's hope Curry gets 40 in 25 minutes, EK. Yeah, I think there's a chance. Toscano, Anderson, only viable if Draymond misses. Him and Bender are guys you can look to if Draymond misses. I think both play about 20, maybe a little bit more minutes. Yeah, still that Montrez off the minutes limit. I was like, I had no idea he was even on one. Rotos has 30% in Jokic. Really? Oh, 25%. I don't know why I couldn't just find them. Okay, well, I'm fine getting away from that then. PJ Washington, 2%. Cody Martin, 4%. I'm fine with staying away from that. Next NBA preseason, want to win huge money. This season I found you late, though. Yeah, the preseason was big money. If you guys follow me then, or even the summer league, there is definitely still an edge there in both those. It's all about research though, and yeah, Jokic is 25%. Yep, saw that, Paulie. Thank you. Good luck, my friend. Thanks for all the help again. No worries. Again, I love doing this content. I got him at 25. Thanks. Good luck, everyone. Yep. All right, I'm gonna hop out of here, guys. Hope you guys have a good night. I will be back for another video for Friday's slate. That will be uploaded later tonight. Also going to have my XFL video for week, 5? I'll have that up tonight if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, good luck, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.